Poverty is not random. Economics explains why it persists and how it can be alleviated in the future. Hi friends, welcome to Econverse. I'm Abrar and I am a fellow student who was topped in my GCSE Economics exam last year in Oman for economics. GCSE Economics. Anyway. Wow. Poverty is not random. Economics explains why it persists and how it can be alleviated. In this video, you're going to understand poverty in depth. Hi friends, welcome to Econverse. I'm Abrar and I'm a fellow student who was topped in my GCSE Economics exam last year in Oman. On this channel, we make learning economics simpler, clearer, and hopefully a lot more fun. In this video, we're going to be looking at poverty. So let's get started. In this video, we are going to be looking at poverty. So when we look at poverty, it's important to understand two really key terms. Firstly, you have something called absolute poverty, and secondly, you have something called relative poverty. Absolute poverty is a condition where people's income is too low to enable them to even meet their basic needs. So when you cannot meet basic needs. Now, what are basic needs? Basic needs are needs such as food, water, shelter, so on and so forth. These are your basic needs, and when you're not able to know them, you can say, and when you're not able to meet them, you can say that you are facing absolute poverty. Whereas a relative poverty is essentially a condition where people are poor in comparison. Now that is really key. So in comparison to others in the country, the income is too low to enable them to enjoy the average standard of living in the country. So if you don't enjoy average standard of living of your own country, if your standard of living is below that, you could say that you're part of the relative poverty group. So now, what are the causes of poverty? Now, this is a really key question to ask. Causes of poverty, I think you can just break them down into these four. So firstly, you have unemployment. So unemployment essentially leads to poverty because you're stripped of your source of income, and then when you lack education or any skills, that again affects it. And then when you have access to no income, as we said before, and then when people fall ill, when you fall ill or you have a disability, perhaps you were not able to work, which can actually go on, all these four can go on to create a vicious cycle of poverty, which is when people get trapped in their cycles of poverty. It somewhat looks like this. When you have low income, it leads to lower savings, and when you have lower savings, you are able to make lower investing. There's lower investments. When there's lower investments, there's lower capital, and when there's low capital, there's low productivity, which goes on to lead to lower income. So this creates an absolute chain of poverty, a vicious cycle. Now, one key important measure of poverty is something called the multidimensional poverty index. So it is the multi-dimensional poverty index, which somewhat looks like this. So it's broken down into three main areas. So you have health, you have education, and you have standard of living. Now essentially how this works is you have 1/3 of each of the, I mean, it's a weighted 1/3 each, if you know what I mean. Like each of these boxes or categories are weighted 1/3, and there's multiple facets of each one that's taken, such as nutrition and child mortality for health. Then for education, you have the years of school and you have your child school attendance and factors like, and for standard of living, you have factors like electricity, sanitation, and then your cooking fuel, your assets, and everything. And all of these go on to determine the intensity of poverty, ultimately giving the multidimensional poverty index. So now governments could actually alleviate poverty through improving education. That is perhaps one of the main areas that they could use in order to alleviate poverty. They can look to rise economic growth, because this could lead to job formation, allowing for the end of poverty. Then there could be NMW, national minimum wages. There could be MNCs that are encouraged in order to boost economic growth. There could be higher government spending, and then you could have infrastructure. All of these essentially can lead to reduced poverty, or they could aim to redistribute income through taxation and cash benefits, etc., in order to reduce poverty. So that's all for poverty. If you think this video helped you understand economics better, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to join the Econverse. I'll see you again in the next video.